Welcome back, everyone. So, in the whole space of Web3 gaming, the future of games, and play to earn, and all of these ghastly things that are probably going to be very bad for the quality of the games that we actually play, we have an interesting bit of news in that the broader crypto market is obviously in a bit of a spot right now. Coinbase, I forget, was it Goldman? Anyway, they're rating their stock was sell. Which I also thought was quite interesting. They've had some job layoffs. We've seen quite a lot of that in parts of that sector. And we now have got a report from Bloomberg, amongst some other things, that show a humongous decline in basically the volume of the NFT market. And this is a thing that is actually quite important because a lot of this stuff is at the core of Web3 gaming, which is where a lot of games companies are going. Epic Games have got, is it Gala Games, who are doing great. They've got a Web3 game coming onto their platform. It itself, as we covered in a previous video, has got a fair few embarrassments. Today, though, we've also got a very, very, very funny scam.
Yeah, which I think is like...
It's stupid.
Yeah, at the core of it, what we'll talk about a little bit later is literally just, this is why no one wants any of this shit. And this is why it was such a toxic, tainted market to begin with, because people just cannot behave online, effectively speaking. But that's where it's like, you look at all of the gaming companies that were like, this is the future, NFT is the future, we're going to make Ubisoft quartz. Square Enix's president's going to talk to investors about how this is like big time, the blockchain is the future for us, and future for so many things. And that's been dramatic in a couple different ways. But then you look and go, well, we've got good news, because all of that blustering's just falling apart. In front of us.
So
most of it anyway.
To be honest, if you just have a little bit of a hunger, a little bit of an appetite for kind of laughing at the numbers going down, at the very least you'll find today's video enjoyable. Yep. Now, to seamlessly do a quick bit of self-promo, as you know, we're also developing a game, but you may not know, the other thing that our game team does is contribute to our Patreon, where they build really awesome physical merch that we do every month. So if you'd like, we're sort of theming off this year anyway, fantasy, fantasy races, locales. They're actually doing quite a lot of world building for the project that's kind of rolling out monthly. And so if I say that's world building that we're very much taking seriously and potentially we'll do some more stuff with. So if you'd like to check out the Patreon, perhaps get yourself some sweet loot, you can check out the links down in the description. And with the self-promo done, Matt, let's talk a little bit about Bloomberg's report. So, the crypto niche is now getting its first month with under 1 billion USD in sales. First month of that since June 2021, according to DappRadar, who track data. And for another one, on OpenSea, which you'll probably have heard, it's the largest NFT marketplace in the world, the sales volume has went down by 75%. Since May.
That's over most of it.
Yeah, and I believe it was also down from its previous heights at very early in this year in May anyway. And now it's set to be scraping its lowest level since July 2021.
The craze is over, basically.
A lot of these things, they form speculative bubbles. Now, I think you can argue that there can actually be some form of real-world sort of value in some of this stuff. Don't worry, I haven't lost my mind. I will explain that. But I think the speculative bubble drove prices so far beyond that. So what the actual value of these could be, like imagine your concert tickets are sort of sold via an NFT, and then because you have that NFT, you can get a bunch of additional perks because you have the NFT. Now, that's not really quality being delivered to you by the NFT. It's just the NFT being used as the, the technical implementation of, whatever reward or membership thing that you're getting. So the idea of sort of NFTs that come with perks if you are the holder of the NFT, that's one of the ways they've been trying to put a little bit more value in that. To a lot of people, though, it seems dubious, and it's also like, well, yeah, but this doesn't need to be on the chain. You can do membership and sell your, membership card to somebody else. Buy any other thing. It doesn't need to be blockchain. And it's not like it being blockchain and decentralized means that it's completely, free of scams or bullshit or any of that. I mean, just look at the situation of people laughing at Seth Green because he lost his Bored Ape and now he can't do a cartoon. Or Axie Infinity, where, security vulnerabilities and their implementation leads to a mass-scale, fraud, a mass-scale theft of those assets. I think all of these things have certainly served to cool down the market. Now, meanwhile, the JPG NFT index, which tracks a handful of blue chip NFT projects, that's actually down by 70% since its inception in April. That's pretty rough. So with all of this stuff tanking, and it's been tanking for multiple reasons, one of them though is the Terra blockchain. Basically, it's a collapsed stablecoin project, which a lot of people ended up in a really bad situation from that, and then possible insolvency at the lender Celsius Network and Babel Finance, as well as the hedge fund 3 Arrows Capital. Basically, investors have begun to shun some of these crypto projects because there are now so many high-profile just failures, scams, markets completely collapsing. I mean, imagine investing all that money into Axie Infinity, and then almost instantly, away goes the value of the coin. Now here is a quote from a researcher whose job literally is to go deep into this stuff. And they say, without question, the NFT market has fallen off the cliff this June. While the market is way more mature, it's fair to say that in recent weeks, investors are looking for safer places to put their money amid the Terra collapse and rumors surrounding potential liquidations. So that's rough. And then what's interesting is that even though that stuff is happening, there have been a few high-profile events. eBay have went to purchase an NFT marketplace. Uniswap Labs have purchased a marketplace aggregator. And then there was a whole NFT.NYC conference and the Bored Apes Ape Fest. Woo! The Ape Fest. How exciting. But of course, those things have not rallied investor enthusiasm. So essentially, we all talk for a bit about number go up, people make money. Now, number go down, people lose money. Now, a bit of good news potentially here is that it could hasten the games industry's walk towards NFTs. No, the opposite. It could slow down the games industry moving towards the NFTs, maybe cause them to rethink things. Because a lot of these comments from like the Square Enix guy and a few of the other ones, they were really amidst this stuff going totally bonkers. Like we were seeing Bored Apes go for insane quantities of money, the market just going, up, 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 up. When like Ubisoft were talking about Quartz and all of that. And like with Quartz, that stuff got, the game, the Quartz was being tested on Breakpoint. It's got wound down. Yeah. We know the developers at Ubisoft were very much against this project. And now the sort of market is collapsing. Like this can only be a good thing for people who don't want this kind of thing to get into games.
Yeah, so like on a really fundamental level, it's like the developers never wanted any of this. So that means like the technical implementations and the kind of like the cool things that the tech had could, conceivably have for the games industry and like the market. None of that was ever going to manifest properly because it was just top-down money makers going, this will make us money, do it. And now that doesn't look like it's going to make them all of the infinite money in the universe. So that just kind of kills it completely at the top.
Yeah.
Because that was like the entire reason was the money. Everything else was a smokescreen or like a kind of, we need to kind of sell this to people, even though we just want the money, and now the money's gone. So if NFTs are going to like actually continue, they will just be in a different form or be like actually kind of developers will have ideas for them as opposed to money people forcing them down the throat.
And I think for some examples here, like in spite of Ubisoft having a record of 15 sales, 15 sales, Matt, by December of 2021, they've basically not really mentioned Ubisoft Quartz. That was actually not even mentioned in their financial year 2021 results. As for Square Enix, in their financial year 2022-23 results, there's like one mention of NFTs. So basically, it's once, and it's in relation to the divesting of the North American assets and IPs, where they reveal that rather than using the proceeds of the divestiture in new investment domains such as NFT and blockchain, they're basically instead funding solid IP and enhancing their development capabilities. So that's them saying, right, okay, we don't have these Western studios that basically aren't making ROI. What are we going to do with all this money we freed up? Not that. We're actually going to do the core thing that's our business. And that is a good sign for us. Because imagine a world where Ubisoft Quartz was the most exciting, crazy thing, and it did super well. People bought them all. And then, rather than move that money back into core development, they're moving some of that into R&D groups and into, the production teams to actually build the assets that get to be NFTs across multiple Square Enix games so that they can then have a, inter-game, almost, metaverse-esque thing, right? A world where Blizzard put hats. They make hats that are NFTs, and you can wear the hat in Diablo, Warcraft, or Overwatch. And they make it a whole play-to-earn thing with Warcraft Gold into the WoW, right? Like, instead of going down that horrible dark future, we're now seeing less of that. Now, no doubt, they're retreating, and they're thinking about their next steps. But I think while that market seems to be a losing thing that doesn't have investor confidence, they maybe aren't going to be as public about it. Because I think if investors are really hungry for Web3 and being seen to have a really good claim in the Web3 space is going to be important for investors' views of potential future company results. Here's a really good example. If you have let's just say a company like Tesla, and it's okay, there's some investors that they're really excited about the Tesla bot, they're really excited about the Cybertruck and stuff, and because of the future hype that Tesla are going to have a car that is in the same slice of the market as the humongously selling Ford F-150, then the investor's going to be like, oh, sweet, that'll be nice in the future. And it's a little bit like that here. A lot of investors will think, oh, Square Enix, wow, look at that. They've got one of the most successful MMOs ever, and they're going to try to integrate that with this new emerging market. This is going to be... But now investors are going to be less hyped about that sort of thing. So they've got less of a reason to focus on it.
Yeah, and that's
good.
That's the thing I think is really if you want to have a really good takeaway from this, because obviously I think people will hear NFTs are dying and celebrate anyway, unless they own one, in which case... Your problem, sorry. But the thing is, all of this Web3, all of this blockchain was wrapped up in one big ball. It was this one big ball of just, we don't want any of this near any of our games because this isn't going to help us at all. And now, the only part of that that's really kind of dying visibly is the NFTs. All of the crypto obviously as well, but this doesn't literally necessarily impact all of the play to earn stuff that people are trying to push in and all of those core ideas. But it does, as you say, it does kind of poison that well for investors, which means all of that stuff is going to have to be taken at a slower rate, kind of snuck in, and there won't be people funding it whole. Will be all of that will probably be slowed down by the very nature of almost like guilt by association of people go, oh, should we invest in big play to earn things? Wasn't that something to do with NFTs? And NFTs are dead? Maybe we shouldn't.
And also they look at Ethereum, they look at Bitcoin.
Yeah.
They look, all this stuff. Now there's one thing I will say. So I believe Ethereum is moving over to proof of stake vaguely soon. I know the Displate have an NFT project that they're doing, but they have, because Displate have always marketed planting trees and stuff like that with their purchases and the sort of environmentally friendly aspect of things. They basically said that they are delaying their NFT thing until the Ethereum chain is on proof of stake. Now, proof of stake and proof of work are very different things. Basically, what you need to know is that whenever people talk about the environmental impacts of of NFTs, that's when you're on a proof of work blockchain. And that basically means that there is very expensive, power-hungry maths that has to happen to make shit tick, right? But if it's on proof of stake, then the environmental concern essentially goes away. So if you're still concerned about the environmental side of proof of stake chain, then, if you're watching Netflix, you should probably stop, right? You're kind of a bit more down to that level of things. Now, of course, there's always going to be just the suspicion of, okay, is this just financial asset tomfoolery to try to get more money for your investors? That's how it'll feel to people. But perhaps perhaps there'll be a little bit more interest in the market once it is moved over to proof of stake. I know that one side of investing is the kind of the more green side. That is something that there is some interest in. So perhaps that could change things up. I can't really call it though, because I'm not really a specialist in the area. That said, one thing we do know is that the scams will continue. And we've got a really funny one here where some people have made W3itch.io. So Web3itch.io. Now you might think, what? A Web3 project from Itch? That's not what I thought they would do.
Not at all.
And you're right, because they didn't. This is, a collection of some of the most unique, interesting, and independent creations you'll find in the web. We're not your typical storefront with a wide range of both paid and free content. We encourage you to look around. Unlike Itch, W3itch focuses on putting status of, quote, Web3 technology into production-level services. Okay, so basically here's the deal. They ganked itch.
Grift.
It's a grift.
Pure grift.
It's just a big grifty scam bullshit, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not literally be a scam, but if you're basically calling it Web3 itch, knowing that itch exists, like, you're doing tomfoolery. So, Leif Corcoran, who's the founder of itch.io, they've been posting about the issue. It's quite insane. Also, can you not rip off itch.io? The site you have is pretty shady. To which they've responded, we are really sorry about used itch.io CSS files, but we are really short of designer. And if you check in detail, the supported project types and features are very different between us, and they are two different public goods. We will try to make distinction in UI in future. This is theft! It appears the majority of the projects on your platform are stolen from rpgmaker.net with no apparent consent.
I love it.
Oh, it's great.
The idea of someone just going, we're sorry we stole. But we couldn't make it ourselves. So I guess we're morally fine to just steal your stuff because we didn't have it. We couldn't make it ourselves.
People here can see the difference, right, on my screen. And it's like...
I don't know. I can't see the difference, basically.
Well, we can play Female Soldier Struggle, The Forgotten Girl, Backstage, Sephric Blue, and Halo World.
Nice.
There you go. There's 162 games on web3.itch.io, and funny enough, it does look pretty similar to itch.io. Oh, I wonder. They're barely changing words on the site. Like, it is just like theft, basically.
Yeah, it is just, hey, we'll use the fact that crypto is like this thing where we can kind of get away with just raw theft, I guess. Because obviously we've seen that before where people have like yoinked wallets and they're like, well, we can't trace that money. It's decentralized. It's gone. It's gone. We can't do anything about it. So it's like, I guess they're kind of maybe trying to do the same thing here where they'll kind of get the whole thing of, hey, we've got this whole big Web3. Wouldn't you love to play Web3 indie games? I think it is literally just, you can give me the owner of W3itch crypto, and I'll give you RPG Maker games that are available for free. Okay, that sounds like a great deal.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Rats. Like.
So now that we've taken a look at that rats game, what is next? Well, basically, it's cooling down, but there are projects in the works. We recently on the channel talked about Grit, which is on Epic Games. Of course, that's where you have a big distinction between Epic and Steam. Steam have just said, nope.
No, sir. No
ain't doing this. We will take your... I actually can't say the name, but, you know, a decently well-known dude from the 1940s who did a lot of very awful things. That was born in Austria and became the leader of another nation. You might know the one. You know, on Steam, you can get him as a furry in a dating sim, and it's all like weird sex stuff. Like, that's on Steam because of their new, you know, basically, whatever, adult stuff. Okay, let's go.
Do whatever you want.
So they'll let you have that, but they're saying no to NFT stuff and, you know, the Web3 games is quite funny. Whereas I think for Epic, they are going to allow this technology because they're not going to ban the technology in principle, but they are very aware of the correlation with scam projects and stuff. Because Tim Sweeney has talked about that in the past. So we're going to see this stuff continue. Perhaps it's going to cool down. There you go, Finn. I've ran out of idea juice. No more.
NFTs are, sorry, let's get the quote right. NFTs fell off the cliff in June. God bless.
There we go. Yeah, that's it. So that's it for us. Of course,
games are saved.
If you would like to buy some of our art, which is not in the form of a non-fungible token, it is in fact in the form of a card that will go to you physically, in addition to another card and a pin from our game development team in the sort of little fantasy world we're building, then you can check that over on Patreon. Of course, there's also the video game that we were making, The Pale Beyond, which is scheduled for release in 2022, and there's, as every day passes, less of 2022 left, so we are getting closer. Anyway, that's it for us. Have a great day. Goodbye.